Hello children, how are you all? Welcome back to the social science class of grade 9. We are discussing about the chapter 1 French Revolution. Before beginning the class, I would like to share few ideas about this chapter. We are discussing about the French Revolution, which is an easy one children. The only difficult part, you're going to read few fancy words and few foreign names. Except that the events which happened is very easy to understand. Start reading word by word. Don't feel very difficult about this. And also I like to remind you our online class norms. Keep your content book ready, note ready. Mark each and every new places, names, years and events. Once the video completed, start reading word by word children. Shall we start? So our today's agenda, we're going to have a reflection, which is an important one children. Why? Because if we revise more, we'll get more marks. The second one, we're going to see our today's topic, France becomes a constitutional monarchy. What does mean by constitutional? Constitutional means a set of rules and regulations according to which a country is governed. What is mean by monarchy? That will be the ruler. So how France becomes a constitutional monarchy? Constitutional come monarchy. Is it clear children? So, first reflection. So, before beginning the class of today's topic, we will revise the previous topics we have discussed, children. The first one, French society during the late 18th century. Who was the king? King Louis XVI. Is it clear, children? King Louis XVI. And who was his wife? Marie Antoinette. Is it clear, children? The king belongs to the Bourbon family. Bourbon means their ancestors. Is it clear, children? Their family. Then, how their treasury become empty due to the long years of war, and also they spend the money lavishly, and also they help the American colonies, 13 American colonies, to get independence from the British or Britain. Is it clear, children? So this is how they got 2 billion livres debt, children. How many billion, children? 2 billion livres. Is it clear? So then how Louis XVI want to compensate this? He want to impose tax on the people. So to coming to the tax topic, we're going to know about the society and who will pay the tax and who will not pay the tax. Okay, how French society is classified into three categories. First one, first estate. Who will be there? Clergy people will be there. Who are clergy people? Clergy people are the group of persons. They have some powers or they have some special functions in the church. What about the second one? Noble people. So they are called nobility. So those people belongs to the royal family. They will not pay the tax. What about the third estate? In the third estate, big businessman will be there, merchants will be there, court officials, lawyers, farmers, peasants, small peasants, landless laborers, servants, everyone will be there. They have to pay the tax. Is it clear, children? What are the two types of taxes? Tithis and taili. Tithis means the tax levied by the church, which comprises 1/10 of their agricultural production. Is it clear? What about the taili? Tax to be paid directly to the state. So instead of paying to the church, they pay directly to the state. Is it clear, children? Is it clear? So this is the situation. Then how the people struggle to survive, children? Due to the increase in population, demand of grains, bad harvest, increase in the price of bread, then low wages for the laborers, become it makes the life of the people miserable. They can't able to live a proper life, which is called subsistence crisis. It paves the way for the subsistence crisis. The subsistence crisis, what is the definition? An extreme situation where the basic means of livelihood are endangered. Is it clear, children? Is it clear? Do you want me to repeat? The subsistence crisis, an extreme situation where the basic means of livelihood are endangered. Shall we move to the next one? So, a growing middle class envisages an end to the privileges. So, what is meant by that? So, the peasants, the farmers, they started to protest against the government. Then, who spoke bravely, children? Who find the way? The people who in the third estate, who are developed. How they developed? By the means of trade. They exported woolen and silk textiles. They become some administrative officials. They become lawyers. They become important persons by the education. So they started to make their demands to the government. Is it clear? So this created a new group called middle class. New group called middle class. So the such the two societies, that is two estates in the French society, they got some privileges, right? They will not pay the tax, right? So those privileges came to an end by this middle class people. Is it clear, children? How these people got these ideas? By three important persons, children. You have to remember their names and their works properly. First one, John Locke. First one, John Locke. So what he have given, children? He given two treatises of government. In two treatises of government, what he refuted, the doctrine of divine and absolute right of monarch. Then Jean Jacques Rousseau. Jean Jacques Rousseau. So he have given us social contract. Social contract, proposing a form of government on a social contract between people and their representatives. And third one, Montesquieu. He have given the spirit of the laws. He have given the spirit of the laws. According to that, that will be the division of power in the government. What are the power? Legislative, executive and judiciary. Is it clear, children? And also by the American Constitution, they got some ideas, children, because American Constitution guarantees the people individual rights. Is it clear? So this paved the way for the development or revolution. Is it clear? So the next one, outbreak of the revolution. How it is started? At first, King Louis XVI arranged the Estate General meeting. Estate General means it is a political body which contains the three estates will send their representatives. And where they have assembled, children, and when? On 5th May 1789. On when, children? 5th May 1789. Repeat with me. 5th May 1789. So they assembled at Versailles, which is a place, children. So in the first two estates, children, 300 representatives were there. How many representatives? 300 representatives were there. What about the third estate? 600 representatives, 600 members assembled. Is it clear? And how they sat or how they assembled? The first and the second estate people, they were seated in the rows facing each other on the two sides. They were seated in the row facing each other on the two sides. What about the third estate members? They need to stand at the back. Is it clear? These third estate members got almost 40,000 letters, children. How many letters? 40,000 letters, which contains the grievance and demands of the people belongs to the third estate. Is it clear? Is it clear, children? So once the meeting started, what is the voting principle? Each estate have only one vote. But during that time, the third estate demanded they need each and everyone assembled there need to vote in the favor of laws or else on their demands. Then what happened, children? King Louis rejected. Where they got this idea, children? Each one have to vote from the works of Jean Jacques Rousseau. What is the book name? The Social Contract. So by the way, king rejected. Then the third estate people walked out of the assembly. Then they assembled in a tennis court. They considered themselves as the spokesperson of the whole French nation, and they started to draft the constitution. They considered themselves as the National Assembly. This was led by two important persons. Can you remember their names, children? Mirbeau and Abysseus. Mirbeau, he belongs to the noble family. What about the Abysseus? He is originally a priest. Then Mirbeau, he delivered the powerful speeches and he wrote some journals, children. Journals. Is it clear? Then what about the Abysseus? He wrote an influential pamphlet called Third Estate. Is it clear? So when the National Assembly was busy at Versailles drafting the constitution, what happened in the countryside? So there was a severe winter, there was a bad harvest, price of the bread rose, the bakers were exploited the people, as well as they hoarded the supplies. They started to hide their supplies. So what happened, children? Women started attacking the shops, bakeries. By the way, there was some rumors, children. The manners, as like we have zamindars over here, the manners, they hired some band of brigades to destroy the ripe crops. So the people started attacking all the manners, and the manners started to fly away. That means they started to they fled from their places. They started to settle in their neighboring countries. Their hoarded grains were looted, and their documents were burned, and their castles were attacked. What is the fancy name given in the book for the castles? Chatax means castles or stately residence belonging to a king or a nobleman. Is it clear, children? So when all these things happening, there was no peace in the nation. Then Louis XVI finally recognized the National Assembly and accepted the principle that his power would from now on be checked by the Constitution. That his power will be checked by the Constitution. So now here the beginning of our today's topic, the France becoming a constitutional monarchy. Is it clear, children? And what are the taxes were abolished? Tithes was abolished, and the lands owned by the churches were confiscated. That means seized. So how many or how much amount of wealth earned by this protest? 2 billion livres. Is it clear, children? Shall we start our today's chapter? How France becomes a constitutional monarchy. So the National Assembly completed the draft of constitution, children. When in the year 1791. Remember properly, children, the National Assembly completed the draft of the constitution in 1791. Is it clear, children? So their main objective is to limit the powers of monarch. Their main objective is to limit the powers of the monarch. So instead, what they can do, children, these powers can be shared among them. Instead of having one person, that is king, it now can be separated and assigned to the different institutions. What is meant by institutions? How we have organs of the government, as like the same judiciary, executive, legislature. These three things will be a separate institutions in the government. From where they took this ideas, children? Remember his name? What is his name? Montesquieu. Which book? In the Spirit of Laws. Is it clear, children? So this is how the France made a constitutional monarchy. Why here the monarchy name is here, children? Because the executive, in the executive organ, king will be there, children. Once again, I repeat from the beginning, the France becomes a constitutional monarchy. The National Assembly completed their draft work on 1791. When they completed, children? 1791. Their main objective was to limit the powers of the monarch. Is it clear, children? So instead of powers being concentrated in the one person, it now separated and assigned to the different institutions. What are the different institutions? Legislature, executive, and judiciary. This made France a constitutional monarchy. Then how it works, children? The Constitution of 1791. Constitution of 1791. The powers will the powers to make the law in the assembly was given to the indirectly elected people. What is meant by indirectly elected people? We'll see that. Okay. So that indirectly elected people are the persons elected by the citizens. Elected by the citizens. For example, the citizens voted for a group of electors. The people belong to the France. They will elect a group of people. Is it clear? They will make the important laws, children. They will make the assembly. They will decide the assembly. They will decide the assembly. Is it clear, children? So then who are eligible to vote? Only the men above 25 years of age. Only the men above 25 years of age. Not only the age constrained children, and also they have to pay the tax equal to the 3 days of labor's wage. What is meant by 3 days of labor's wage? If there is a labor who is getting an income, their income will be calculated for 3 days. The person who pays the 3 days of the whole amount of income as a tax will be eligible to vote. Then that voting eligibility is given to a rich people. Is it clear, children? Is it clear? So the remaining men and women were classed as a passive citizens. The persons who are eligible to vote are called active citizens. two types of citizens, children. The persons who are eligible to vote are called active citizens. The persons who are not able to vote are called passive citizens. Is it clear? So these people, those who pay the tax, they will form one group of electors. That group of electors forms the National Assembly. Is it clear, children? This is how it is called indirectly elected. Is it clear, children? Is it clear? Do you want me to repeat this? How it works, children? The Constitution of 1791 vested the power to make the laws in the National Assembly by the indirectly elected people. Is it clear? So how election is conducted, children? The men, only the men above 25 years, only the men above 25 years of age who paid the taxes equal to at least 3 days of a laborer's wage were given the status of active citizens. That is, they were entitled to vote. Is it clear, children? They are called active citizens. What about the others? The remaining men and all women were classified as passive citizens. And also there is a definition in the book, children. To qualify as an elector and the member of the assembly, a man had to belong to the highest bracket of taxpayers. Is it clear, children? They should be belongs to the highest bracket of taxpayers. So here's the concept map, children. Listen very carefully. So the three institutions, judiciary, executive and legislature. In judiciary, judge will be there. It will be voted by the active citizens. And in executive, king will be there and few ministers will be there. So coming to the few ministers and king, first we'll discuss about the legislature. In the legislature, come to the bottom, children. Can you see the passive citizens? They don't have any voting rights. For example, they are saying about 3 million men will be there, women, children and youth below 25 will be there, but they are not eligible to vote. Instead of that, active citizens, look at that, entitled to vote about 4 million of a population of 28 million. About 28 million people, only 4 million are eligible to vote. They can elect few electors, children, about 50,000 men. From 4 million, they are selecting 50,000 men. From that 50,000 men, they are selecting National Assembly, a group of people, 745 members. Is it clear? How we have parliament, children, as like the same. National Assembly, they got 745 members. In that 745 members, they got ministers who will take care of each and every department, as like we have health department, education department, as like the same, children. So these National Assembly people will have the control over the king as well as the minister. And king also have the veto power. What is meant by veto power? If there is a rules imposed by the National Assembly, they want to impose any law, it can be obliged, or it can be negotiated by the king. Is it clear, children? He can obstacle it, but also his power also will be stopped by the National Assembly. Is it clear, children? This is the concept map. Once again, listen very carefully. Judiciary, executive and legislature. In judiciary, we have judge. In executive, king and ministers. Legislature, National Assembly, electors. And how electors are elected, children, by the active citizens. And who were passive citizens. About 3 million men, women, children and youth below 25. Is it clear, children? Especially the passive citizens are the poor people. Shall we move to the next one? So the declaration of the rights by the constitutions. What are the rights the constitution declare? So the constitution begin with the declaration of the rights of man and citizen. Now what are the rights, children? Rights such as the right to life. They have the proper life. They have the right to the proper life. Then freedom of speech, freedom of opinion, equality before the law. Is it clear, children? Equality before the law. So what are the four important rights? Right to life, freedom of speech, freedom of opinion, equality before the law. These are natural and inalienable rights. What is meant by inalienable? It should be there, children. It should be there for a proper life. It belonged to the human beings by the birth. By the birth, they need to live a proper life in the society. Is it clear? So then, what is the duty of the state, children? Duty of the state should to protect the each citizen's natural rights. Is it clear? Each citizen's natural rights will be protected by the state. State means government. Is it clear? So this is the declaration of the rights by the constitution. So at last, this is self-reading homework, children, which will be in your content book about the reading political symbols. Just go through that and make the notes of it, or write in a paper in a proper, neat and legible handwriting. Don't feel difficult in reading the books, children, because during this quarantine time you just listening to the videos, right? So that will be the less number of work, reading and writing work you are doing, children. So be practiced with reading. Once the lockdown will be normal, you will have regular classes, tests, children. Then next year you're going to write your board exams. So start reading, increase your reading practice, remember the things, don't mug up anything, understand the concept, don't omit anything. Read all the boxes, children. It contains any important 1 mark, 3 mark, so any questions will be there. So understand the concept and read. All the best, children. Thank you.